Galactic Empire killed a human woman. So, humanity declared war. The scream of a single woman's voice echoed across the galaxy, carried by every transmission network and planetary relay, igniting a firestorm of fury in humanity's heart. They think we're weak. They think we'll kneel. But we won't. And when they come for us, they'll regret it. Mark my words, they'll regret it. The voice was of Ambassador Miriam Holt, a diplomat known across the galaxy for her unyielding determination to secure peace between Earth and the Galactic Empire. It was her final message, recorded just moments before the Empire's agents silenced her forever. Humanity had always been the underdog, resilient, overlooked, and underestimated. But now, for the first time, the galaxy would understand the depth of their resolve. Miriam's body lay lifeless in the Grand Hall of the Imperial Senate. The room, once filled with the echoes of diplomatic exchange, was now the scene of her brutal assassination. The Empire, in its arrogance, had thought her death would quell Earth's ambitions for peace. They were wrong. Miriam Holt had not been just any diplomat. She was the pinnacle of humanity's efforts to secure a place in a galaxy dominated by centuries-old empires and powerful, ancient species. Her mission was simple: forge peace with the Galactic Empire, open trade routes, and build a lasting alliance that could benefit both worlds. A noble goal, a delicate balance. Yet, in the Empire's eyes, humanity was still nothing more than a nuisance, unworthy of any true consideration. And so, they killed her. The transmission of Miriam's final words was not just a plea for justice. It was a declaration. She had recorded it in secret, knowing the Empire would never allow her to broadcast such a message. What they hadn't counted on was her foresight and the technology she'd smuggled in her final moments, a failsafe. Her message, encrypted in layers of codes only the most advanced human tech could break, had made its way to Earth faster than the Empire could ever have imagined. Back on Earth, the message didn't just ripple through the government. It detonated across every human colony and world. It was a cry that tore through the fabric of human unity, binding the fractured species together in a singular, seething rage. There would be no diplomacy now. There would be no second chances. The people of Earth had been patient for too long, waiting for the galaxy to see them as more than just primitive barbarians. They had endured slights, insults, and betrayals. But this was different. Miriam was not just a diplomat. She was a symbol, an embodiment of humanity's struggle to prove its worth to a galaxy that viewed them as little more than pests to be squashed. From the highest echelons of power to the streets of Earth's sprawling metropolises, one thing was clear: humanity would avenge Miriam Holt. The president of the United Earth Government, an old man who had seen war and peace alike, stood at the podium as his voice crackled with the weight of his words. "To the Galactic Empire," he began, his eyes burning with a fury that had not been seen in decades. "You have made a grave mistake. The death of Ambassador Miriam Holt will not go unanswered. Earth is not weak. Earth is not afraid. You have awakened something in us that we have kept dormant for too long. Prepare yourselves. We are coming." The cameras cut to black. The galaxy waited in silence. The Empire, for the first time in its history, felt the weight of human determination. On the edge of the human capital, deep within the secure confines of a hidden military command center, the top generals of Earth's forces gathered. The weapons they had developed in secret, the soldiers they had trained beyond the Empire's notice, were now prepared for action. The Galactic Empire had just made a deadly mistake. They had underestimated humanity, and they would soon learn that no empire, no matter how mighty, could stand against a species united by grief, rage, and the unbreakable will to survive. The Empire thought it had shattered humanity with the death of Ambassador Miriam Holt. But what they failed to realize was that the true force of Earth's wrath was not in one woman. It was in an entire species, quietly building its strength for the inevitable moment of reckoning. In the dark corners of Earth's military command, the war had already begun. It wasn't just a matter of retaliation, it was survival. The Empire had awakened something humanity had long kept hidden, a fury that, once unleashed, would burn across the stars. The gathering storm asterisk. Earth's response to Miriam Holt's assassination wasn't immediate. It couldn't be. The Empire's forces had already prepared for any retaliation from the humans, their spies scattered across the colonies, and their fleets waiting on the edges of known space. For years, humanity had watched, waiting for an opportunity to prove its strength. But Earth had a secret. For decades, humans had quietly cultivated their military might under the radar of galactic observation, preparing for the day they would no longer be content with being the galaxy's quiet observers. Humanity had learned the art of patience, of subtlety. What the Empire failed to see was that Earth wasn't just preparing for war, it was preparing to fight a war on its own terms. There were no grand armies marching in parades, no flashy weapons on display. Instead, humans had invested in something far more dangerous, the ability to strike where and when it would hurt the Empire most. The response came not from a battlefront, but from the shadows. Earth's military leaders, gathered in secret, had one goal: to make the Empire feel the consequences of its actions. Their first strike wouldn't be conventional. It would be strategic. It would force the Empire to play a game they didn't understand. General Isaac Cole, a veteran of countless skirmishes and the leader of Earth's new task force, stood over a holographic map of the galaxy. His face was hard, his eyes focused with the kind of intensity that could burn through steel. He tapped a series of coordinates on the map, and the room fell silent as the plan unfolded. "We've waited too long to act with restraint," Cole said, his voice low but steady. "They killed Miriam Holt, and in doing so, they made a grave mistake. The Empire thinks it can bully us, crush our spirit. But we're not like the other species they've conquered. We adapt. We strike where it hurts, and they won't see us coming." As the general spoke, humanity's most advanced technology, hidden for years, was activated. Ships long thought obsolete were retrofitted with devastating new weapons, stealth systems that could slip past the Empire's advanced sensors, and armies trained to be as relentless as the most savage death worlds. The first target wasn't a planet, nor a fleet. It was a communications relay, a seemingly insignificant station on the edge of Imperial space. But to the Empire, it was a lifeline. By crippling the Empire's ability to communicate across its vast domain, humanity would send a message loud and clear. We are here. And we will fight. As the mission was launched under the cover of darkness, the first wave of human warships, swift and silent, made their way toward the relay. The Empire would never know what hit them. But as the fleet moved into position, a cold shiver ran down General Cole's spine. Something was wrong. The Empire's response came faster than expected. A fleet of Imperial destroyers, far larger than anticipated, was already moving to intercept. They knew, Cole whispered, his hands tightening into fists. The trap had been sprung. The war had officially begun. When humanity strikes, it doesn't strike like any other species. Earth's soldiers don't fight with mere weapons. They fight with sheer willpower, with a kind of ferocity that the galaxy has yet to understand. And now, the Empire would experience the full force of that fury. The first wave of humanity's retaliation was swift and brutal, but it was only the beginning. Hidden within Earth's ranks were the Deathworlders, warriors forged in the most hostile environments the galaxy had ever known. And now they were being unleashed. The Deathworlders weren't just soldiers. They were legends, each one a survivor of worlds so dangerous that no other species would dare set foot on them. On their home planets, the environment itself was an enemy. Toxic air, unrelenting storms, and predators capable of tearing apart a fleet of warships with nothing more than their claws. To live on a death world was to embrace the constant struggle for survival. To thrive there was to be forged into something more than human. When General Isaac Cole called for them, they came in silence, a terrifying force from the darkest corners of Earth's military. They had been trained not just to fight, but to outlast, to adapt, to turn any battlefield into a graveyard for their enemies. Their presence was the signal that Earth was no longer playing by the Empire's rules. And the Empire had no idea what was coming. The Deathworlders boarded the newly commissioned warships, each man and woman a hardened veteran of the harshest environments known to humanity. These soldiers were more than just elite. They were nightmares in human form, capable of surviving impossible odds and making the Empire's finest look like children in comparison. In the heart of a galaxy that had always seen humans as weak, the Deathworlders represented something the Empire could never fully comprehend: raw, unrelenting survival. Their ship's engines roared to life as they moved toward the first target, a heavily fortified Imperial mining colony on the Outer Rim. Captain Maeve Thornton, one of the Deathworlders' leaders, stood on the bridge of the warship, eyes narrowing as the glowing lights of the Imperial colony came into view. Her planet, once a toxic wasteland of radioactive storms, had birthed her into something far more dangerous than the Empire could ever anticipate. Her planet's creatures had taught her the art of survival in the most brutal terms, and now her experience would become the Empire's nightmare. "We hit them hard, we hit them fast," Captain Thornton said, her voice cold and steady. "No mercy, no surrender." The first wave hit the mining colony with an intensity that shook the very ground beneath the Empire's feet. The Deathworlders landed with precision, cutting through Imperial forces like a knife through butter. Their hand-to-hand combat was brutal and efficient, an endless cascade of strikes that left no room for the Empire to regroup. For every soldier the Empire threw at them, two more Deathworlders seemed to emerge, as if from the very dirt itself. As the battle raged on, the Empire's command center scrambled to respond, unaware of the overwhelming force humanity had unleashed. Imperial officers, trained in conventional warfare, couldn't comprehend the strategy. The Deathworlders didn't play by the same rules. They didn't fight like other soldiers. They fought like animals in the wild, relentless and untamed. But even as the Deathworlders tore through the colony's defenses, the Empire's retaliation came swift and unyielding. A new fleet, larger than the one that had intercepted the human fleet earlier, appeared on the horizon. It was clear. The Empire was sending its most elite forces to crush humanity's uprising before it could gain any more momentum. And with it came a chilling realization. The Empire had underestimated the deadliest weapon humanity had: its ability to adapt, to survive, and to fight back. The war had only just begun, and humanity had no intention of losing. Captain Thornton's gaze hardened as she watched the incoming fleet. "Ready the weapons," she ordered. "We don't stop until they know who they're dealing with." The Emperor had heard enough. The Deathworlders were wreaking havoc, and the Empire's military forces were being pushed to their limits. This rebellion would not be tolerated, not in his galaxy. And so, he summoned the full might of the Empire to crush Earth's uprising once and for all. Humanity had shown its teeth, but the Emperor would show them what true power looked like. On the Imperial throne world, the Emperor paced the obsidian halls of his palace, his rage simmering beneath the calm facade. For centuries, no species had dared challenge the Empire's authority. Earth, a young and unruly species, had dared to take the first step. It would be their last. He would see to it personally. Within hours, the Emperor's War Council convened, drawing up plans for the most aggressive counteroffensive in the history of the Empire. There would be no negotiation, no peace talks. Earth's leaders had committed a cardinal sin. They had provoked the Empire's wrath. And now, there would be no mercy. Admiral Valther, the Empire's most decorated strategist, was tasked with the mission. He had never failed the Emperor, and he wasn't about to start now. His fleet was massive, over 20 dreadnoughts, each one capable of reducing an entire world to ashes. But it wasn't just the firepower that made Valther's fleet deadly. It was the precision. The Empire's forces had always been superior, and Earth's resistance would crumble beneath their might. "This ends today," Valther declared as he addressed his fleet commanders. "We will strike Earth's heart, crush their defenses, and bring them to their knees. Leave no survivors." Meanwhile, on Earth, General Isaac was preparing for the Empire's retaliation. His forces had dealt the first blow, but they knew it wouldn't be long before the Empire sent its full military might to obliterate them. The Deathworlders, ever the force of nature, had been devastatingly effective, but they were not enough to win the war on their own. Humanity's military was still young and inexperienced in galactic warfare. Earth was going to need more than just elite soldiers. They needed strategy, ingenuity, and something the Empire couldn't understand: unity. Cole gathered his commanders in a dimly lit room, the holographic map of Earth and its colonies projected before them. He looked at each of them, the weight of the impending battle heavy on his shoulders. "We knew this was coming," he said. "The Empire will strike with everything they have. But they don't know what we're capable of. They think we're weak. Let's prove them wrong." The Empire's dreadnoughts were already on the move, their dark silhouettes visible across every long-range scanner Earth had. It was a fleet unlike anything humanity had seen. It was a fleet of extinction. Valther's forces were coming, and they would stop at nothing to annihilate every human in their path. As the first wave of Imperial ships entered Earth's orbit, the tension reached a breaking point. The planet's defense systems hummed to life, a shield of energy pulsing around the planet like a heartbeat. Humanity had anticipated this day, and they had prepared. But no one knew if their defenses would be enough to hold back the Empire's wrath. General Cole stood at the command center, watching the incoming ships with a steely gaze. The Empire had come to Earth's doorstep, and now the real battle would begin. "Deploy the fleet," Cole said, his voice cold and unwavering. "It's time to show them what humanity is made of." The first salvo of human weapons fired into space, a brilliant explosion of energy and fire. The battle for Earth had begun, and neither side would retreat. The question was no longer whether humanity could survive the Empire's assault. It was whether the Empire could survive humanity's vengeance. The Empire's fleet had arrived in Earth's orbit, but they soon learned that humanity wasn't fighting for survival. Humanity was fighting for retribution, and the cost of their vengeance would be steep. General Isaac Cole stood firm, watching as the first wave of Imperial ships surged forward, their massive forms cutting through the vacuum of space like predators closing in on their prey. But this time, the humans weren't the prey. This time, they were the hunters. The tide turns asterisk. From the moment the Empire's fleet entered Earth's orbit, it became clear that the human defenses were not just a series of walls or shields. They were a message. Every weapon, every ship, every last soldier had been meticulously prepared for this one moment, for this one battle. The Empire's arrogance had blinded them to the truth. Earth was no longer the helpless planet they thought it was. On the front lines, the Deathworlders proved their worth once again. They tore through the Empire's outer defenses like a whirlwind, their brutality and tenacity unmatched by anything the Empire had encountered. But this time, they weren't alone. Human warships, equipped with newly developed advanced technology, swarmed into position. Energy shields pulsed with a brilliance that momentarily blinded the Imperial ships, while railguns fired projectiles that tore through enemy vessels with devastating precision. Earth's fighters, agile and lethal, danced through the chaos, picking off targets with surgical accuracy. The Empire's commanders, accustomed to crushing inferior species in mere days, found themselves on the defensive for the first time in centuries. The tide of battle was shifting, and no one was more aware of it than Admiral Valther. He had underestimated humanity's ability to fight back, and now, with every passing moment, the mistakes were mounting. "This won't be enough," Valther muttered under his breath, watching his ships falter under the relentless barrage. "We need to break them now." The Empire's forces were on the brink of collapse, but the battle was far from over. Admiral Valther called in reinforcements, an elite fleet of Imperial shock troops, the best and brightest the Empire had to offer. Their mission was simple: obliterate Earth's remaining forces and force humanity into submission. But humanity wasn't about to back down. As the Imperial fleet surged forward, Earth's military responded with the final weapon in their arsenal, an AI-driven warship known only as Revenge. This colossal ship, the largest ever built by humanity, carried weapons so powerful that even the Empire's dreadnoughts stood little chance. With a sudden, powerful surge of energy, Revenge fired its main cannon, sending a beam of concentrated plasma that tore through the heart of the Imperial fleet. ships exploded in a brilliant display of fire and fury, while the remaining Imperial vessels scrambled to regroup. "This is just the beginning," General Cole said, his voice steady, despite the chaos unfolding around him. "They killed Miriam Holt. Now, they'll understand the price of that mistake." But as the battle raged on, something unexpected happened. On the far side of Earth's moon, a massive Imperial warship, larger than anything humanity had ever seen, appeared on the horizon. The ship's engines flared to life, and it slowly moved into position, its guns aimed directly at Earth. Valther had played his final card, and now, the real test would begin. The Empire was about to unleash its ultimate weapon, the Devastator, a ship so powerful it was rumored to be capable of wiping entire planets from existence with a single shot. "This is it," Cole said, watching the massive ship grow larger on the screens. "They've just declared the end of the war. But they're not going to like the end of this story." Humanity's revenge had begun, but now, Earth would face its greatest challenge yet. The Empire's deadliest weapon was coming, and the fate of Earth hung in the balance. Would humanity finally be able to prove its strength? Or would the Empire crush the rebellion with overwhelming force? The final battle for the galaxy had arrived. The Devastator loomed on the horizon like a dark omen, its weapons primed and its purpose clear: erase Earth from the galaxy, leaving nothing but ashes. But the Empire had underestimated humanity once again. This was not just a fight for survival, it was the final reckoning. Humanity's war had reached its climax, and this time, the Empire would learn that vengeance wasn't just a word. It was a promise. The final stand asterisk. As the Devastator advanced, its massive silhouette filled the sky, casting a shadow over the battlefield. Its weapons glowed with an ominous pulse, and the entire human fleet gathered in a tense silence. General Isaac Cole stood at the center of the command deck, his eyes locked on the giant warship. "This is it," Cole muttered, his voice steady despite the imminent threat. "It ends here. We end here." The Empire had thought they were invincible. Their fleet, their weapons, their technology, they believed nothing could stand against them. They were wrong. Humanity's resolve had already broken their pride, and now the last vestige of the Empire's might was about to fall. "Prepare the fleet," Cole ordered. "We have one shot at this." Revenge, Earth's final weapon, powered up again. Its massive plasma cannons hummed to life, energy crackling around the ship's massive hull. The Devastator was just within range, its shields glowing as it prepared to unleash its deathly barrage on Earth's surface. But Cole wasn't worried about surviving. This wasn't a battle to fight to the end. It was a battle to win. Every human ship, every soldier had one objective: destroy the Empire's ultimate weapon. The first wave of Imperial fire came quickly. Beams of pure energy slammed into Earth's shields, shaking the planet with their force. But the humans had anticipated this. The energy barriers flickered, but held. Earth's fleet, agile and coordinated, returned fire with everything they had. The first shots from Revenge cut across the battlefield, slamming into the Devastator's shields, cracking them, but not enough to breach them completely. Humanity's fight for the galaxy had come down to this moment. The Devastator's massive cannons continued charging, preparing for a final shot that could obliterate Earth itself. But what the Empire didn't expect was humanity's resilience. Captain Maeve Thornton, leader of the Deathworlders, looked toward the fleet and then to Cole. "We go now. Full speed. We don't wait for them to finish us." With a battle cry, the Deathworlders and the rest of Earth's ships surged forward in a coordinated charge. They ignored the Devastator's overwhelming firepower, closing the gap with unimaginable speed. The Empire was too slow to react, too distracted by their own weapons to notice the humans' cunning strategy. As the battle reached its peak, with ships from both sides decimated and floating in the vast void of space, General Cole watched the final moment unfold. Earth's warships surrounded the Devastator, and with a final concentrated push, Revenge fired its last shot, a blast so powerful it ripped through the Devastator's shields and tore into its core. The Imperial warship's engines exploded in a brilliant cascade of fire and destruction, sending debris scattering into space. The Empire's flagship, was no more. The battle was won, but the cost had been high. General Cole took a deep breath, staring out into the silence of space. The Emperor's fleet was broken. The galaxy had witnessed humanity's fury, and Earth had triumphed against the most powerful empire in existence. But as the remnants of the Empire's forces fled, a grim thought lingered in Cole's mind. This war might be over, but the scars left by the Empire's tyranny would not fade so easily. Humanity had won, but the true cost of victory was yet to be fully realized. The Empire had fallen, but what came next? Would Earth rebuild, or would the galaxy, now watching, find itself facing a new power that had just begun to rise? The last battle had been won, but the war for the galaxy, it seemed, was just beginning.